I'm Umama Shah, along with my co-host,
Satya Idris,
researchers at National Institute of Maritime Affairs. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving towards the final session of International Maritime Conference 2025.
We are honored to welcome our distinguished keynote speaker, Dr. 𝐏𝐈𝐈𝐈, Associate Professor and International Coordinator at the Institute of South Asian Studies, Sichuan University, China. He is an esteemed author of 6 books and over 60 published papers, specializing in non-conventional security and Indian Ocean maritime security. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Zhang. He will join us virtually.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I am very glad to join this very important conference and a very good afternoon. And it is my great pleasure, to see you online. And thanks a lot for the invitation offered by NIMA and its president and director. My topic would be blue economy potential of Pakistan, challenges, opportunities, and the road to inclusive growth. I would start with a brief discussion on definition of blue economy and ocean economy. The blue economy, according to OECD, refers to sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth, improved livelihoods, and job creation while preserving the maritime and coastal ecosystem. According to London School of Economics, the term blue economy broadly relates to a sustainable ocean economy, or the economic activities associated with the ocean, seas, and coastal regions that allows resources to be used while preserving the health of ocean ecosystem. Obviously, ocean economy is very much relevant with blue economy, although the latter one has a special emphasis on sustainability. Anyhow, it is quite often for researchers to use the two terms somewhat interchangeably, although they are in fact different. So the ocean do have its economic significance. According to the recently released OECD report, which is named as the Ocean Economy to 2050, the ocean provides food security for over 3 billion people, enables the transportation for over 80% of global goods, and holds sea cables carrying 98% of international internet traffic. The ocean economy, if considered as a country, would be the world's 5th largest economy in 2019. From 2005 to 2020, they contributed 3% to 4% of global gross value added, and employed up to 133 million full-time equivalents. So the global ocean economy, the economy doubled in real terms within 25 years, from $1.3 trillion in 1995 to $2.6 trillion in 2020. And the deployment levels reached the peak of 151 million full-time equivalents in 2006. It is predicted that in 2050, the ocean economy would reach $5 trillion. So that is huge. It is important to remember that 2 industries, that is tourism and offshore oil and gas extraction, generated about 2/3 of total gross value added in ocean economy. So marine and coastal tourism generated $789 billion of gross value added in 2019, while offshore oil and gas and offshore industry generated $988 billion in the following year. In terms of economic output, the oil and gas extraction is the most important sector, obviously. But if we consider job generation, it is tourism ranked number 1, as this industry employed 95 billion full-time equivalents in 2003, before declining to 79 million full-time equivalents in 2019. Okay, so let's focus on Pakistan's situation. I would start with some discussion on challenges with Pakistan's blue economy. I think Pakistan is encountering multiple challenges in this regard. It has a limited volume of blue economy with a slow progress. For Pakistan, generally speaking, its ocean economy just contributed 1.5 to 3% to its GDP in recent years. For Pakistan, its oil and gas department suffers from not so competitive nature endowments. Although Pakistan has tried to expand this sector, it has made effort with partner countries. However, up till now, no major breakthrough has been made in this regard. With regard to marine and coastal tourism, as I said, this industry generated many jobs. Unfortunately, for Pakistan, due to its insecurity, insufficient infrastructure, and inadequate policy encouragement, the tourism sector developed not so fast in Pakistan. Pakistan's offshore fishing industry is suffering from underdevelopment due to non-competitive technology level. In fact, the price for Pakistan's fish exportation on average is $2.3 for 1 kilogram, while that for the whole South Asia region is $7 for every kilogram. And Pakistan can hardly benefit from blue water fishery, as it suffers a very big capacity gap in this regard. In Pakistan do not have a strong aquaculture industry, so especially for seawater aquaculture. So Pakistan has a shipbuilding and a shipbreaking industry. However, it is not very much competitive. It also suffers, especially the shipbreaking industry, from some low competitiveness and unproductive practice, inclusive of some environmentally unfriendly practices. So Pakistan do not enjoy balanced, port development as well. So Karachi port and Qasim port are overcrowded. However, the Gwadar port, although it is a modern port with good facilities, but due to a number of reasons, it is underutilized right now. So I think for Pakistan, the biggest challenge is how to instill sustainability into ocean economy to develop a real blue economy. That is also a challenge, and not just for Pakistan, but also for many countries around the world. When we talk about blue economy, it refers to sustainable ocean economy, but it is easier said than done. So of course, I think we don't have to be over pessimistic in this regard, because there's always opportunities and there's always some way out. For Pakistan, as a researcher, I would recommend some principles. Number one, I think there's an urgent need for pragmatism and gradualism. We have to consider to implement in a step-by-step way some pragmatic rather than unrealistic policies. There is a need to reach a compromise between sustainability and economic progress. Sustainability is always good. However, for developing countries, especially for Pakistan, you can hardly realize sustainable development overnight. We have to be realistic in this regard. I also believe that Pakistan's blue economy strategy needs a job and income generation centric approach. That would be more practical and pragmatic, considering the situation for Pakistan. We also need to consider technology empowerment of facilities. Just like when I said the exportation price for Pakistan fish, the price is much lower as it suffers from inadequate refrigeration and improper fish processing. So technology empowerment could help a lot in this regard. Maritime pollution control is also important. I visited the coastal line of Pakistan 9 years ago. It is beautiful, to be honest. However, it is also very polluted in certain regions, especially in coastal area not far away from major cities. So if you have heavy sea pollution, you can hardly have marine and coastal tourism, because people would not dare to visit in such places. Maldives, thanks to its clean security and also, of course, good security situation, attracted 2 million tourists last year. And that is not the case for Pakistan, right? And Pakistan need to harvest the tourism industry job generation in this regard. Then you have to deal with this pollution challenge. And lastly, I think international cooperation also need to be encouraged. Okay, so before I conclude, okay, I would like to make some specific recommendations. I would recommend my Pakistani friends to consider publishing a yearbook or some statistics so as to generate a data-based decision making, and also region-specific and sector-wise master plan and action plan would also be encouraged. Taking the practice of China as an example, the Chinese government has made the Ocean Economic Development Plan for northern, eastern, and the southern part of the Maritime region under Chinese jurisdiction in accordance with nature and the industry endowment in the three regions. Okay, and although blue finance is also important, because if you want to have a blue economy, you need to have investments. And in this regard, the blue economy would be based on, of course, blue finance. I also believe that there's a need to synergize with CPEC and other international partners for blue water fishery and technology empowerment on seafood processing industry. The CPEC is going to encourage industry development in Pakistan. And I think in this regard, okay, we could consider some really meaningful, substantial action plan. For Pakistan, industry inclusive that relevant with blue economy would be very much important to generate jobs and incomes. And Pakistan also needs to consider develop some industry cluster for maritime equipment production. Most importantly, I think Pakistan needs to improve the security situation for its coastal regions. That is going to help the coastal community development, and also to have a more balanced port development. Gowada, okay, largely suffered from this insecurity, okay, and it would be a big encouragement for marine and coastal tourism as well, okay. And lastly, I think most of Pakistan's problem is relevant with insecurity and lack of finance, and with effective security measures and blue finance. I think the situation for blue economic development in Pakistan would make a remarkable progress in foreseeable future. So thank you for your patience. I prefer to stop here, and thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Zhang, for sharing your valuable perspective.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome our second keynote speaker from Bangladesh Navy, Commodore Syed Misbah-Uddin Ahmad, now Utkursho Pudok. He has served various highly demanding staff and teaching appointments and attended a number of professional educational courses and training, both at home and abroad. Currently, he is Director General of Bangladesh Institute of Maritime Research and Development, the premier maritime think tank patronized by Bangladesh Navy. Sir, we welcome you to the stage.
Innal hamdalillah, as-salatu was-salamu ala Rasulillah. Praise be to God, the one and only true God to be worshipped. Peace and blessings be upon His last and final messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Commander Karachi, Admiral Sir, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, assalamu alaikum, and a very good afternoon. It's indeed a great honor, privilege, and I also feel a responsibility to talk in front of this august gathering, and that to be the last speaker. You have to wait a long way and thinning out the audience. Never mind. Let's embark on a journey as I visualize on the topic as flashed on the screen about the digital blue bridges, the transparent ocean compact for shared maritime prosperity. The agenda is very simple, as you can see on the screen: the strategic and economic context, followed by 3 pillars of the vision as I visualized and envisaged. Finally, some proposal for implementation between the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea, the Digital Blue Bridge Initiative as I envisage. Finally, the forward-looking imperatives. apart from now, 2,500 years, the Admiral General Thucydides, who morphed into a historian when exiled, and he said, quote and unquote, ignorant of the sea, no one can pretend to be skilled in strategy. And I can give an example of one of the great military mind and emperor, Napoleon. He was very keen as regards to the continental strategy, but he ignored the very English Channel right at his backyard, which actually and eventually led to his collapse. He considered mountains to be the number one barrier for the army. Then he, in his maxims, mentioned about the big rivers, great rivers. But General Wellington, he crossed the English Channel and defeated him in the Battle of Waterloo. So the mindset of continental strategy, which reigns supreme at some point of time in our part of the world, the brothers in arms, other than the whites, they need to understand this, as well as the policymakers sitting on top as our masters, that why it is important to be conversant with the seas and oceans. So my vision is to have a digital blue bridge and the transparent ocean compact for shared maritime prosperity. And as such, I would love to invite you all to view the ocean not as a frontier of competition, but as a shared space of opportunity, responsibility, and connectivity. From the Bay of Bengal to the Arabian Sea, the flows of trade, technology, and ecology move freely across political boundaries. They don't need visas, passports. What if we build bridges? Diplomatic digital bridges, and also the data-driven bridges that connect our littoral states, maritime institutions, and blue economy ambitions. Now, a word of caution. Blue economy must not remain as a semantic, as a rhetoric. We have been listening to all the respected speakers since yesterday morning that we talk about blue economy. So my humble position is that we have to bring it out from the semantics. We have to take it out to be our vision for next centuries, for our next generations, so that we really can yield benefit for our future generations. This verse was given in the opening ceremony yesterday, and I just repeat it for your kind remembrance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has subjected the sea for us, so that we may eat from it tender meat and extract from it the ornaments which we wear. The translation is not deep, but the reflection has to be very deeper. And the Prophet ﷺ said in an authentic hadith collected by Imam Muslim, quote unquote, the world is sweet and green, and verily Allah is making you to succeed each other, generations after generations, in it in order to see how we act. And here I salute our Qaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who dreamt for a great country and which is here today we are talking about. And we need to act responsibly. Coming to the strategic and economic context, lots of talk have been already made. Just I want to give some snippets so that you can remember. The blue economy is rapidly expanding worldwide. There are statistics. That reminds me of one of the saying of Mark Twain. He said there are 3 types of lies. Number 1, lie. Number 2, damn lies. And number 3, statistics. With all regards to the statistician, we have to be very careful when we put these statistics. Since I have also mentioned some statistics, I just wanted to put a remark of caution. But important it is that Bangladesh, as well as our very brotherly nation, Pakistan, we are underperforming as regards to the blue economy and the immense opportunities it offers. So we have both the nations, we are in the verge of a new era of blue connectivity. Now, we have heard lectures about the ports upgradation, fisheries and aquaculture growth. We have talked about the offshore energy logistics, climate resilience, and coast and deltas. However, if these are pursued in a fragmented policy framework, or if these are pursued in isolation, we may have some optimal outcomes. So let me delve with the first pillar, connectivity, from coastlines to digital corridors. Connectivity. Of course, there has to be physical connectivity with ports, shipping routes, logistic hubs. Bangladesh's main port is Chattogram, which handles around nearly 98% of our total trade. But the efficiency is still not up to the mark. Pakistan's ports, Karachi, Port Qasim, Gwadar, they are crucial. But I personally, as a student of maritime strategy, feel that these are underperforming. The new frontier thus is the digital connectivity. From the physical connectivity, we have to come down to the digital connectivity. We have to link our institutions. Why? Because we need to link our mindset first. And then we can have the sharing of the ocean data, which are very vital and very important. Then we can integrate the sensor networks, tracking the ships, mapping the ocean floor. From the ocean floor, the water mass, the surface, and then we go up to the cosmos. These are subjected to us by Almighty Allah. So we need to harness that. Now, what I mean by a blue corridor between Chattogram and Gwadar need to be not only physical. As I said, it has to be firstly implanted in the mindset, and then that could be digital. There, we can share the maritime domain awareness data, satellite feeds, and port logistics. Dashboards can support faster decision making. At the end of the day, it's important for the decision makers for safer navigation and resilient coastal economies. I argued in one of my articles, The Rising Tide, Bangladesh's strategic quest to become a middle power maritime nation. And I mentioned, maritime strength is not just defined by fleet size. It's not war by algebra that we compare ship to ship, but also by connectivity, capability, and on top of it, the vision of the policymakers, the senior leadership. It's very important. That brings me to the second pillar of my vision, this transparency, data as diplomacy. We talk about diplomacy, track 1, track 2, 2.5, and so on and so forth. But what do we actually mean? First of all, we need to understand why I call it Transparent Ocean Compact. Because maritime data is both strategic as well as it's public and personal asset and goods. Navies across the world, they must be considered as premium by the policymakers. They don't pay you back like a paycheck after every month, like a salary, but it is priceless. You have to understand it like that. So that initiative has to be understood within the greater framework of Indo-Pacific realities, Indo-Pacific maritime domain awareness. Then we can share the near real-time data on vessel movements, fishing activities, port access, and environmental monitoring, which builds trust among our stakeholders, partners. In South Asia, we have lots of data fragmentation, and it continues. We have also our part of the world in the Bay of Bengal, our exclusive economic zones. We have the high seas, we have the seabed, but how much do you know what lies beneath? I mean, we can't see it, we can't feel it, but time has come, we have to understand this. We have to go back and try to dig it out because we don't know that. I think Pakistan, the story of Pakistan is also not very different. So there we need to understand that we have lots of opportunities as regards to our exclusive economic zones, regards to our mangrove coverage, because our very low GDP from its maritime resources that we have seen through the various lectures that we've been witnessing since yesterday. So, in another of my writings, I actually argued the transparent ocean and the geopolitics of maritime data. The sovereignty over maritime data has become the new form of sovereignty over the seas. That has to be understood by the policymakers, also by the practitioners alike. Because shared data platforms, open source dashboards, joint surveys, and interoperable MDNet frameworks, that gives us the transparent trust. That brings us to the platform of cooperation. And after the platform of cooperation, then when these are all coupled together, connected, then only we can think of shared responsibility and prosperity for our future generations, our children, for our grandchildren. That brings me to the third pillar, shared stewardship, the leadership which has to be shared. We know it. The oceans, they do not respect borders. As I mentioned earlier, no passports, no visas required. Climate change, many of the world leaders, they don't believe in it. They believe it to be hoax. But it is in the offing and it is there already. The marine pollution, illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing, rising sea levels, mangrove destruction, shipping emissions, all of these demand joint response, because whatever economically strong a country cannot alone address such bigger issues. We need partnership. And as Muslims, I personally feel that the Khilafah, the vicegerentship given by Almighty Allah, that dictates us that we must act responsibly, sustainably, so that we don't destroy the biodiversity in order to benefit ourselves economically. So there, we need to be the guardian of the creation, because Allah subjected all other creations under us, as his Khalifa, as his vicegerents. Let me talk 1 minute about the Bangladesh-Pakistan synergies. As I see it, we need to have joint work on mangrove restoration to bring forward imports, marine renewable energy, ship recycling after the Hong Kong Convention particularly. And I look forward to do something jointly with NEMA in the coming months about the ship recycling, as well as the maritime training works as regards to all of these gamuts. Pakistan's green ports, aquaculture, shipping sectors could generate billions if fully harnessed. And I think there is no individual who can deny it. It is the truth. Bangladesh's marine biodiversity research institutes and coastline present similar opportunities. With opportunities, ladies and gentlemen, we have challenges. Through the Transparent Ocean Compact, we commit to shared standards and collective protection. In another of my essays, Symbiosis of Geopolitics, Geostrategy and Geoeconomics, I argued that sustainable blue economies can only be achieved through cooperation, foresight, and most importantly, integrated planning. Implementation proposal, Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea Digital Blue Bridge Initiative. Firstly, joint maritime data sharing platform, interoperable standards. We need to commit, the senior leadership, the policymakers need to commit and understand and own it. Biennial Blue Bridges Forum, alternating between Karachi and Chattogram. We can take this initiative. Our policymakers may note it and we can work together. Joint training and capacity building programs we can undertake in order to benefit us and our peoples. Most importantly, for the sustainable development of our countries, friendly nations, as well as our future generations. And we can take pilot projects such as Green Coastal Belt, linking Pakistan's mangrove zones and ship recycling industry, as I mentioned previously, with that of Bangladesh's coastline and research institutions. I'm coming to the end of my presentation and the forward-looking imperatives. In 2025, oceans face digitalization, as the Chinese call it, or digitization, as the Western call it, of maritime operations, climate challenges, supply chain reorganizations, decarbonizations of shipping, and shifting geopolitical dynamics. As we know here, the learned gathering, geopolitics is a living document. It keeps moving. So we can't stuck to something that we are complacent, we have done something. It keeps moving, so we have to update ourselves. Humans create the gap between potential and reality. Again, human factor is important. We may talk about artificial intelligence, artificial superintelligence, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's man behind the gun, as we call in the Navy. So it's the decision makers, the policy makers, the people sitting on top of the helm of affairs. They need to understand and differentiate between the gaps, not to allow the widening of the gaps between potential and reality. So what is the choice left for us? We build walls or bridges? You know, the civilizations, if I am allowed to quote Ibn Khaldun, he said, civilizations, the fall of them was not because of falling walls. It was from within. So if the policymakers do not take correct decisions today, the ramifications will be disastrous tomorrow. So how do we need to treat the ocean data? Should we guard as asset? Very confidential, secret? Or we can share the instrument, or we can share those data as the instrument of prosperity. How will we view the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea? Should we consider them as disconnected compartments or as interconnected corridors of growth and innovation? We have tremendous potential. Only we need a trigger. That trigger is the onus of the policy makers, the bosses of ours, national decision making. They need to understand this trigger. Only then we can have growth through innovations and mutually driven endeavors. So, we cannot be complacent, we cannot sit idle, we have to call to action. Building digital blue bridges, embracing a transparent ocean compact, and committing to shared maritime prosperity. Number one. Secondly, let us embark on this journey together as a collaborative maritime partners in an era of digital seas, ethical leadership, and a shared future. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful and inspiring speech.
Before I invite Vice Admiral Dr. 𝐒𝐴𝐻𝐻𝐾𝐬𝐬𝐢 Imtiaz Military President NEMA for summing up and recommendations of the conference sessions, I would like to apprise that Vice Admiral Dr. 𝐒𝐴𝐻𝐻𝐾𝐬𝐬𝐢 Military Retired President NEMA was awarded an honorary doctorate degree by Netherlands Maritime University College, Malaysia. This esteemed recognition, approved by the Ministry of Education, Malaysia, and recommended by the University's Senate, is a testament to his outstanding contributions and dedication to the maritime field. As the first Pakistani to receive this honor, Vice Admiral Dr. 𝐒𝐴𝐻𝐻𝐾𝐬𝐬𝐢 Military Retired President NEMA brings pride to our nation. He was awarded this distinction yesterday during the 9th convocation ceremony. Sir, the heartiest felicitations on this remarkable achievement. We welcome you to the stage, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chief Guest, Commander Karachi, Vice Admiral Faisal Abbasi, 𝐒𝐞𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐨 Military, foreign dignitaries, excellencies, flag officers, head of institutions, maritime experts, practitioners, academia, and our business community reps. After the Assalamu Alaikum, I would say that the thing which has to start, it has to end. So these 2 days, international seminar is coming to an end. I can express with great satisfaction that we were able to achieve our greater objective to agitate and stimulate healthy discussions about the hidden potential of Pakistan's maritime sectors, which is nearly over $100 billion. The deliberations over the past 2 days have been truly enriching, productive, and forward-looking. The 11th International Maritime Conference, held under the banner of 2nd Pakistan International Maritime Expo and Conference, commonly known as the PIMEC, has reaffirmed that the oceans is far more than a geographical boundary. It is a shared opportunity, an ocean's province, a collective responsibility, and the key to Pakistan's sustainable prosperity. The first day began with the chief guest, Honorable Muhammad Aurangzeb, the Federal Minister for the Finance and Revenue, who joined us virtually owing to his pressing commitments. It was encouraging to hear him refer to the blue economy as a game changer for Pakistan, reaffirming that his ministry, together with the Ministry of Maritime Affairs, will embed blue economy principles into our national policy framework. The discussions of Session 1 evolved around the need for financial support, financial innovations, institutional support, and public-private partnerships to promote maritime entrepreneurship and attract domestic investment. The speakers called for a dedicated Blue Economy Development Fund, regional collaboration through the Gwadar Port's strategic role, and inclusive maritime governance inspired by ASEAN and BRICS experiences. The importance of maritime tourism was also highlighted, particularly its potential to connect with international peace and culture initiatives. Whereas Session 2 featured a panel discussion which explored diverse dimensions of Pakistan's blue economy for integrating heritage and nature-based tourism to modernize ship recycling facilities and improve port efficiency and global competitiveness. Panelists stressed the importance of adopting the advanced fisheries models, establish authentic maritime data centers, and expanding commercial shipbuilding alongside defense production. A proposal for future events to be plastic-free by Dr. Nusrat was also floated, and I'm happy to report that in Bahria University, perhaps the first university which has made this as a policy and can be graded as a plastic-free environment university. The session concluded with remarks by the Vice Admiral Raja Rav Nawaz 𝐒𝐞𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐨 Military, being the chief guest, who is Chief of Staff, of course, who commented the panelist insights and reaffirmed that modernization, technology, and sustainability are the unlocking Pakistan's maritime potential's key parameters. Coming to the second day, it was opened under the theme of maritime security and global connectivity. In session 3, the deliberation underscored that securing sea lanes of communication, integrating smart ocean technologies, and strengthening the cybersecurity are critical to safeguarding national interest. The speakers further emphasized the need for indigenous defense production, infrastructure investment, and linking humanitarian actions with climate resilience as part of a comprehensive maritime security approach, which under the UN is coming out to be a green defense. The chief guest, Rear Admiral Faisal Abbasi, the Commander Coast, aptly reinforced that maritime security is not merely a military concern, but a foundation for Pakistan's economic stability, trade, and regional cooperation. Coming to the session 4, that shifted the focus to the vast economic potential laying beneath Pakistan's water. The discussion explores the deep sea resources, mapping, data-driven exploration, and the need to calibrate economic growth with environmental preservation. The role of emerging technologies, cyber resilience, and this South-to-South and South-to-North cooperation was highlighted as essential for sustainable maritime advancements. Myself being the chief guest, I concluded the session by emphasizing the need to modernize fiscal system, enhance domestic investment, and urging local investors to view the maritime sector as a high potential frontier to realize the blue economy potentials of Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, the current session, as we have heard, the closing session, brought together a regional perspective on the future of Indian Ocean. Discussions highlighted that sustained progress in the maritime domain depends on regional cooperation, shared research, and policy harmonization. The session also underscored that the Indian Ocean prosperity lies in collective action and mutual understanding amongst its littoral state. The keynote speeches by Dr. Zhang and our very good friend Commodore Syed Misbah-ud-Din Ahmad, DG Bimrad, called for connectivity, transparency, and shared stewardship for maritime diplomacy in the region and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, the commitment of the organizations and the partners to advancing maritime development through research, innovation, and collaboration, both at national and international levels, is truly commendable. The level of engagement, depth of ideas, and diversity of perspectives shared over these 2 days speaks volume about shared vision for Pakistan's maritime future. At NEMA, we take pride in our practice of consolidating the key takeaways from these events in the form of a post-conference brochure, which will be a book, followed by a book, and that will be surely circulated to all the policymakers, and that will definitely make the difference which we are looking at. Towards the end, I have to pay special appreciation and gratitude to all those who made this event a success, starting from the Pakistan Navy, then the Commander Karachi himself. He spearheaded all these efforts, and I think his team deserves a good round of applause, please. Besides that, I'll be failing if I don't mention all the people, those who are here working as the NEMA team and staff. Along with that are, I always call them wings of the ideas, that is our media. Whatever we do, they are the wings to carry these ideas to the world. So all the media, electronic, print, and social media, hats off to you for covering all these events. And thank you very much. Again, a clap for all of them. And towards the end, I thank my chief guest again, sir, for spending your valuable time. And we look forward to benefit from your views as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your thoughtful summing up and for sharing your expertise with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now request our Honorable Chief Guest, Vice Admiral Mohammad Faisal Abbasi, 𝐒𝐞𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐨 Military Commander Karachi, to present the souvenirs to guest speakers, followed by group photograph and concluding remarks. We also request Honorable Chief Guest to declare the International Maritime Conference 2025 closed at the end of his address.
I would like to invite Commodore Syed Misbah-ud-Din Ahmad to come on the stage and receive his souvenir from our Honorable Chief Guest.
I now request Vice Admiral Dr. Ahmad Saeed, 𝐒𝐞𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐨 Military Retired, to kindly present the souvenir to our esteemed chief guest.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Admiral Ahmad Saeed, President, National Institute of Maritime Affairs, senior naval leadership from friendly countries and Pakistan, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon. It's given me immense pleasure to be part of the closing session of International Maritime Conference 2025, which was a two-day event. Though I have a written script given by my staff in DG NEMA, but I have been told that lunch is ready, so I don't want to stand any more between you and lunch, and I would like that you should enjoy the oven hot Pakistani cuisine as early as possible. So I will just quickly, sum up and say a few things. First of all, in fact, I attended one of the sessions yesterday of the IMC because of my commitment with the exhibition, which was moderated by Dr. Hassan Daud Bhatt, and there was some very prominent, I would say, policymakers, practitioners, industry was part of it. So a galaxy of participants were sitting on the stage. There was a lot of learning, and I think they provided some very thought-provoking ideas and suggestions which can help in better exploitation or exploration of our maritime potential. Then it was a treat to listen to Professor Dr. Zhang and Commodore Misbah. I think both speakers did justice to what they were supposed to. Professor Zhang I think he did really a good introspection of what we have been doing in past few decades, and without any doubt, our performance has not been as good as it should be. Secondly, I think Commodore Misbah again, the points that he highlighted, I think that's the only way forward that we have to work upon, and it's connectivity, then sharing, while we are too possessive to share our things with others, but probably only introspection and performing ourselves at the national level will not help unless we have that connectivity, integration with all the regional, countries and even beyond. We will not be able to achieve the results that we are trying to. And I think one thing, again, he has mentioned about the sharing of the data. So that is one thing we need to do little, I think, more into it. If overall what I take from this International Maritime Conference, I would recommend NEMA that we should work for three domains in my suggestion. Number one, we have to start off with maybe smaller avenues in the maritime domain. So in order to do that, be it fishing, fishery sector, or tourism. So probably because since NEMA has an insight to the policymakers and also they can reach out to the government departments also. So we need to incentivize these sectors. Only then probably we'll be able to achieve what we want to achieve. So all sorts of incentives that we can offer to the investors, to the industry, we need to do it so that we kick off in our business in those sectors. Secondly, how do we embrace the technology? That's very important. So starting off with maybe, I would say, not a high-end, but some medium-end technologies to be embraced into, be it fisheries, port and shipping, and other sectors, we need to embrace. Unless we do not embrace technology, we will not be able to perform what we want to perform. So that is the second area. And the last thing, I think they have already done some work on this. As far as data is concerned, they have, I think you are already doing, sir, when the data share, the gathering of the data, and then of course, making it authentic and then sharing with others. These are the three sectors I think NEMA needs to work. And probably next time when we meet for the IMC, we might, inshallah, you will see there is some achievement, some headway in better harnessing the blue economy of Pakistan. At the end, I would like to once again thank all the participants who have been part of these marathon sessions in last 2 days. All the researchers, the panelists, our guests from abroad, the members of the NEMA, so everybody who has participated in this, in try to realize, make us realize that how we have been doing in the past and what should we do in the future, and all the opportunities that exist where we can collaborate and cooperate with other countries of the world. So my appreciation to all of those, and especially my sincere appreciation to the NEMA and your team, sir, for, I think it was a very thought-provoking opportunity, platform that you provided to the people, where we can, as I said before, we can introspect that where we are, and then we set goals for us to achieve in the in the future. So all my appreciations, and I once again thank DG Nima for inviting me here as to sum up this session of International Maritime Conference. Wish you all the best, each one of participants who are here. And I would also at the end declare International Maritime Conference 2025 closed. Thank you.
The conference has been officially closed now. Ladies and gentlemen, you are requested to kindly proceed for lunch. Thank you for your presence. Nima team, you are requested to please come on stage for group photograph with our honorable chief guest. Thank you so much.